Welcome back to another episode of the Blacklist Podcast. Today, we are thrilled to have Jeff Hupp, an accomplished writer and independent film director from Detroit, Michigan. Jeff is the creative force behind the film Band on the Run, featuring the talented Larry Bagby. In our conversation today, we'll dive into the fascinating sequence of events that sparked the idea for this film, explore the casting process, and discuss the various challenges and triumphs of filming. Whether you're a film buff, an aspiring filmmaker, or just love a good behind-the-scenes story, you're in for a treat. Let's get started and uncover the creative journey behind Band on the Run. This episode, along with a host of other inspiring stories, can be found at theblacklistpodcast.com. Without further delay, Jeff Hupp.
Every band that matters will be in Austin next month to get a record deal. Except for us. 1, 2, 3, 4. We gotta face it, we're never getting out of here.
Garage?
No, Detroit. You dummy.
Anything for me?
Not why, looking for something?
No, just a letter from a lame music festival in Texas.
Oh, yeah. I remember you guys. Yeah, you're the Cheap Trick ripoff band, huh?
Going to Austin, and we're gonna blow his ass out of the water. Let's go. Here we go, or we're not gonna make it. Just
Careful!
help me get him in the van.
Picked the wrong week to stop drinking. Be high. Careful, all right?
Watch it. Ow, watch it! Looks like we're not the only band on the road to Austin today.
So, like on the douche-meter, what are we looking at? So between 1 and 10.
7,896,021.
So that's over 10, right?
It's 10.
Oh.
The door, man!
You're just a crappy little drummer from the suburbs of Detroit who thinks a record deal is gonna somehow solve your poor, shitty life.
I mean, is he gonna make it, or?
We'll know more soon.
Besides, they're gonna try to turn you into a bunch of corporate whores. Is that what you boys want to be? A bunch of groveling hoe bags?
Yes!
Coming all the way from Detroit, Michigan, ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Hupp.
Hey, Jared, thanks.
Yay.
Really happy to be here. Thanks for taking the time out. Really excited to chat tonight.
Definitely, man. So, for the listeners, this is gonna be a little different. We're expanding in a little different realm of things, but I'm excited, and man, I appreciate you reached out to me, and we were able to make this happen pretty quick.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me. That's very nice of you.
Yeah, we're obviously, like you said, we're booked out a lot. We got to the middle of January right now for releases. So
Wow.
I'll be honest with
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
this it'll probably be January before this gets out.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries,
Just
man.
happy to be here.
So, man, what's going on? How's guys just got done wrapped up production?
Yep.
Once,
Yeah, it was a crazy year. Just like this whole thing, just a labor of love. Just passionate about screenwriting and fast forward. I shot the film in 10 days in June, and
really?
it was crazy, man. Yeah, just a lot of prep, a lot of planning, but made it happen. And now we're getting close to wrapping it up. So it's pretty crazy.
What so how did all this come about? Like, what was the inspiration
Yeah.
behind it?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it short and sweet. But I'm an advertising guy. Been in advertising for a long time here in the Detroit area. The big three auto guys get a lot of attention from a lot of advertisers, so there's a lot of biz. And COVID hit, and things kind of got slow, as it did for everybody, right? And I needed something to do, and I started writing screenplays. I studied TV and film in college and hadn't really done it since then. I've been out of college for 30 years, right?
Mm.
And so I started writing it, and I started writing a bunch of screenplays, and then I started sending them out, and then I wasn't getting, terrible feedback. People were kind of liking them, and I was like, wow, okay, this is cool. And I started submitting them to some screenplay competitions, and I started, surprisingly placing in some of them, like semifinalists, quarterfinalists, stuff like that. I'm like, wow, man, like this is kind of happening.
Mm.
So I was introduced to a producer, and she read a couple of my screenplays, introduced me to a couple other people. She had a couple films that she put out and had streaming on Hulu. And at one point, I was just like, last year, I was like, man, if she can do it and be successful, I mean, I might as well give it a shot.
Mm.
And that's kind of when the ball started rolling for the screenplay that I wrote, called Band on the Run, which is a lot about my time kind of in the 90s playing in Detroit bands and getting close to getting a record deal and going out to South by Southwest in
Mm.
Austin, Texas, where everybody was going and getting deals. And
So this was based
um,
off of you from, like, your experience, kind
yeah, loosely.
yeah.
Yeah, loosely. Yeah, I started putting it together, and I was writing it. It was making me laugh, and sometimes it would even make me a little sad. And I was like, hey, maybe I got something here. And then,
Mm.
yeah, just it started resonating with some folks, and I'm like, I'm gonna try to raise some dough and make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool, because I had my fair when I was younger, believe it or not. I acted in some short films, and we thought
Nice.
they were we
Yeah.
thought they were gonna go somewhere, but I met a guy who was, he was from Chicago, and he was in Phoenix, and he was a writer and director, independent, and so,
Yeah.
um, we did a couple small little shorts, and they perform
Sweet.
what's that, shit, what's that small that the independent film contest that they do, Sundance or
Oh yeah, Sundance,
yes,
man. Yeah, that's like the most famous one there is. Yeah,
so
that's
I
awesome.
guess that premiered over there, but it was
That's a big
they
deal.
wanted to do, like, he had this vision of doing big future film out of it, but man, it's so much work. I'm sure I don't know how the hell
It's
you
a
did it in
lot of
10
work.
days because, we literally we did a short and it took us like a week just with all the crap that we had to do.
Oh yeah, man. It was stressful. I'll tell you that. It was because I'm in my 50s, and I was working a full-time job and trying to make that happen. And the truth is that I leaned on a lot of friends, and and I have to say that, like, this experience really kind of like changed my view on, like, on how, there's so many people out there who, if they share kind of your vision and
Mhm.
passion, that they'll really go out of their way to, like, be a part of it
Yeah.
if they think it's something that's cool and kind of aligns with how they think about life and stuff. But, like, I had, you know people that I've known for 20, 30 years kind of reach out, and I did an Indiegogo kind of campaign to try to raise some money, because obviously it's expensive stuff,
Mhm.
right? And just, I don't know, man, I just felt like so gracious. I was so gracious for all the help, and everybody just kind of came together and rallied together and helped me. If it wasn't for my friends and my family, it would have never been able to happen.
Right.
No question about it. So yeah, it was definitely a life changing kind of effort,
Yeah.
for sure.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's cool. Like it's kind of like the same with the podcast. Like how you're talking about when people, when it aligns with their views and that we are like the people that we have. I would never expect that we would have on here, but their views
It's
line up
awesome.
with what we're doing and whatnot. So, like you said, as long
Hmm.
as if it lines up with them, like they'll be willing to go out of their way to help you. And I've been
Yeah.
very grateful as all from my end because I wouldn't be where I am without a very specific few people as well.
It's incredible, isn't it? When like I mean, I don't know about you, and I don't want to speak for you, but like, because I'm in my 50s, I've been around a while, and you know, with old age sometimes comes cynicism, and like, you kind of feel a little down about the world sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and but I have to say that like this completely renewed my kind of
Yeah.
faith in like friends and like family, um like very like just so surprised and so like to your point grateful of the support and the help. I mean, a lot of these people, man, they were working for free.
Right.
They were working their asses off. Like we're talking like, I mean, you made some short films. We're talking like sun up to sun
Hmm.
down, man. Like, and like not getting paid a dime, but just wanting to be part of it, being part of a indie film, man. And in Detroit,
Yeah.
of all places, So like, yeah, it was a really, really cool it was a great summer. We shot it in June, and yeah, man, just I spent all winter and spring just like in pre-production and doing the best I could because I've never done this before.
Right.
Um, so I was relying a little bit on some of the things I learned in school, some of the things I learned from other producers. I learned a shitload from
Hmm.
podcasts. I just listened to everything I could get, my ears and eyes on,
Right.
and just yeah, man, just kind of work. Sometimes you feel like when you get older, you expect to work less, but in this case, man, I worked harder than I probably had done in like
But you're
decades.
doing what you love,
So
and that's the difference.
makes all the difference.
It'd be
Yep,
different if we were stuck busting our ass or some shit that we don't even like to do. We're miserable, but you're doing what you love. And at the end of the day,
exactly.
that's all that matters. What
Yep.
so how did Larry Bagby come about? How did that come on?
Oh, that's a weird story, man. Total weird story,
We're,
but
we're here
so
for it.
Larry, yeah. So you gotta stay with me on this one.
Okay.
So Larry, um, okay. So Walk the Line is one of my favorite movies, with Joaquin Phoenix,
Mhm.
and it was an Academy Award winner, right?
Right.
And it's been out. God, it's been probably 13 years or more now, maybe even 15 years since it was released. But every time it was on cable, I watched it. And outside of the fact that I just loved the movie and I love Johnny Cash and I love the story and I was familiar with the story, um, so Johnny Cash was in a band called the Tennessee Three, and in the movie, the Tennessee Three was portrayed by Johnny Cash, um, and the bassist Larry Bagby played Marshall Grant,
Yeah.
the bassist in the Tennessee Three, and a dude from Detroit played the guitarist in Johnny Cash's band. God, I'll remember his name in a second.
Yeah.
But anyways, it would always I was like, there's a great movie, and there's a dude from Detroit who used to be in one of these famous, used to be a famous Detroit band called Goober and the Peas, back in the '90s.
Mm.
And but I just loved the movie, and I thought I didn't know who Larry was, but I did love his character. Thought it was a very he just in the movie he plays the stand-up bass. He's a very um, kind of gentle, calm soul in Johnny Cash's life, right? Um, and then fast forward to the spring. This spring, I'm in a band, and my guitarist and songwriter, my guitarist, singer, and songwriter, his name is Nick Punty.
Mm.
Um, he owns a restaurant in the Detroit area, and he called me up one day. He's like, "Man, I got this call from this dude named Larry Bagby. Apparently, he was in Walk the Line and he was in Hocus Pocus, played Ice in Hocus
Mhm.
Pocus, which is kind of like this cult favorite movie with,
I love it, to be
that,
honest. I love that movie.
yeah,
So,
people love it.
yep.
Yeah. And he plays Ice in that movie. And anyway, so my guitarist Nick was like, and he called me up because he's a musician also and wants to see if he can play at my restaurant. And I was like, what? Like, this is the dude who played like Marshall Grant and walked on. He's like, yeah. I'm like, what's he doing in Detroit? And he's like, well, he fell in love with a girl
Mm,
from Ontario, which is just across the bridge
mm,
from Detroit in Canada, and he's here. He moved here,
okay.
and I was like, whoa, that's the craziest. That's the craziest. I'm like, do you think that he'd be interested in being in my indie movie? And so I sent him an email. I sent him the script. I sent him, we call this a lookbook. It's basically a book that kind of outlines the movie and the characters and stuff. And then he emailed me right back and was like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, crazy, man.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing an indie film, what you try to do is somehow get somebody in it that has a name.
Yeah.
Because that
You gain some
that lifts
traction.
your movie up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs, yeah. So he agreed to do it, and man, he he came and he brought it every day. But here's the craziest. So if that's not crazy enough, here's the second part of the story. So in the movie, he plays a dad of he plays the dad of a Detroit garage rock kid who is obsessed with going to South by Southwest,
Mm.
right? And but he's also in a wheelchair. He suffers from a debilitating disease. And so Larry, I'm like, Larry, you're going to be in a wheelchair the whole shoot. Are you cool with that? He's like, yeah, man, cool. I love the character, blah, blah, blah. And then, believe it or not, 3 weeks before the shoot, Larry broke his foot,
Oh my gosh. What?
and he was going to be in a wheelchair. So like, so I was like, wait a minute, like, so now you broke your foot. You have to have surgery. You can't walk, and now you're really
Yeah.
going to be in a wheelchair.
Actually gonna
And
be in a wheelchair. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
dude, it was crazy,
The
man. So
universe
like,
aligned up, I guess.
it totally did. I mean, listen, if it would have been any other role,
Yeah.
he would have dropped out.
Yeah. It
But in this role, it just totally. You're
yeah,
right. The
it's
universe
crazy
just
how
kind
it
of aligned.
because it was like, yeah, that could have
Yeah.
bombed your whole film right there.
Oh yeah, it would have been done. I probably wouldn't have made the film.
Yeah.
But man, that was crazy, man. But yeah, that's how he kind of got involved with the movie, and
Yeah.
he's been so great. Unfortunately I haven't been able to see him because he's been in Canada with his her name is Vera, and she is this the sweetest, and they got engaged, I think, last month. So he hasn't been in Detroit a lot, kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll be able to,
Well,
when we do the premiere in December, he'll be coming out and hanging out.
who knows? Maybe we can get him on the podcast, get him to promote it.
Dude,
We'll
he would love. I'm
we'll
sure
talk
he would
about
love
it. We'll
to.
talk about it after.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to. He's a musician, and he's constantly working on music, and I'm sure he'd love to talk about
So
it.
what
He's a super nice guy.
what do you play?
I'm a bassist
Okay.
in the band that I play in. I don't know if you can see some of my
Yeah,
basses.
I see.
My guitar's there, and I get, but my first instrument is drums, and so
Me too.
occasionally I'll, yeah, right on, man.
I play drums
Yeah,
and you see the guitar in the back.
yeah, oh
That's
yeah,
my that was my Christmas
that's a beautiful,
present. Yeah, I
that's a
always
beautiful
wanted
guitar.
this a Fender acoustic electric. I always wanted one. And so
Yeah,
I haven't picked it up as much as I should, but drums were my first thing. But
yeah.
I do engineering. I do mixing, master, producing.
Oh, awesome. Yeah,
Write, record all that. And so yeah, drums are my very first. Like that's what I learned to play. I was in a punk band at 16 years old.
nice.
And then I learned how
Yeah,
to and then believe it or not, I learned how to rap and I started like flowing and doing all this other stuff. So,
I
um,
love it, man.
but no, that's cool. When you said you're a musician, I was like, I wonder what he plays. So,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you could see my Ludwig. I got one of those
mm,
clear Vistalite kits.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Nice.
pretty sweet.
Nice. Yeah. Well, check it out. One day, I'm gonna go visit I'm gonna go visit my co-host Jody in Detroit. We'll link up. So we'll link up and
Awesome,
we'll link
man.
up and play.
That's right. I like it.
So
Cool.
how did you do the casting on the others? But did you know them or was it just through word of mouth?
No, so I knew that I wanted to. I wanted to book as many people locally as I could,
Right.
but I also knew that most people who are serious about acting have moved out of the state.
Yeah.
So I kind of opened up kind of the casting call, if you will.
Mm.
And I used one of these cool casting platforms called Backstage.
Oh, yep. I've been on
And
it.
yep, yep. And I posted the script and posted the characters I was casting for.
Mhm.
And I found my lead, a guy named Matt Pearl, on it. And he's a kid from Cleveland.
Yeah.
And he is just the nicest guy, man. It was just like, again, another
Universe lining
universal
up.
kind of, yeah. It's funny, like, I got a lot of tapes for people interested in the role,
Right.
and for whatever reason, Backstage is a great platform, but for whatever reason, I didn't get the notification when he submitted his tape.
Mhm.
And so I didn't see it for like 2 weeks. I didn't see that he even, was interested. So I went digging through there. I was like, oh my God, who's this kid? I'm gonna click on his tape. And I saw his audition tape. He did the scene, and I was like, man, this kid is good. So I found him, and then the antagonist, a kid called his name is Landon Tavernet. He's actually from Toledo, but he, as he should, he moved out to LA to try to make it. But the cool thing about Landon is that he did an internship here in Michigan at the Purple Rose Theater, which is Jeff Daniels.
Yeah.
That's his theater in a city called Chelsea, Michigan, just outside of Ann Arbor, where the University of Michigan is. So it's almost like all these guys, even though I like put a casting call out,
Right.
like they all had some kind of weird
It's
connection.
just drawn to you.
Yeah, and sometimes I guess that just happens that way. But man, it was just like, in you asked me about casting. The weird thing was about the lead, Matt Pearl, is I cast him and didn't even know that he was a musician, because the role is a musician.
Right.
Had no idea. I'm like, you know what? We're gonna fake it.
I was gonna
I've been-
ask you if they actually played or if not, or if you guys were
Yeah.
behind tracks.
Yeah, man. So crazy enough, after I hired him, I'm like, dude, do you play any instruments? He's like, I play drums. I was like, no way. I'm like, your character plays drums.
Mm.
I'm like, and it was just a total coincidence. And he was good.
Yeah.
And then the bassist, his band, the bassist, his name is Dylan Randazzo, and he is from New York, and he is like an incredible kind of, I would say, like what I would call like a traditional kind of Broadway singer. And the kid's incredible, man. And then the guy who plays guitar, his name is Daniel Blair. He's a Florida guy, and does indie music, and they're all like 21, 22 years old, man. So yeah, I just got really lucky.
Had any of them ever acted before?
Matt, the lead, had acted. He had done a bunch of local stuff, and then there was a movie that was out during the last part of COVID. It was called White Noise with Adam Driver. And Matt was Adam's stand-in the entire shoot for like 6 months. So that's kind of like his
Signature
that's his like Hollywood debut,
Okay.
Yeah, but the other kids had acted, but had never done a feature film before.
How was
and
how
they
was
were
it?
great.
They did
Dude,
great.
they were great, man. Like I tell all my friends. I was with my buddies last night from high school, and they're asking me about the movie and like, how'd it go? And I was like, you know what? I was dumb enough to think I could do it in 10 days. And I was glad I was dumb enough, because if I was smart enough, I would have never attempted it. attempted to do it.
Yeah.
I would never done it. But as it relates to the actors and why I was able to pull it off is those guys came so prepared.
Right.
Like I had asked them to make sure that they were off book, that they had memorized the script. And you tell kids that, like, I'm calling them kids, but they're young adults. But you never know if they're really going to do it,
Yeah.
right? But man, they were they were phenomenal. Like we did multiple takes, but it wasn't because they lost a line or anything. It was just because we were looking for maybe a little something different. But now at one point, those guys came so prepared. If they wouldn't have been prepared, every actor was prepared, and apparently that's like it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
And they were and same with Larry, but Larry's different. Larry's a pro, right? So even though he went through the script prior to shooting, he didn't really necessarily have it committed to memory.
Right.
But I started realizing that Larry was memorizing the lines the day of on set.
Mm.
Even though he had run through it many, many times, he still hadn't 100% committed to memory. And so I asked him, like, Larry, dude, how do you do this? Like, how do you sit here hours before the camera's rolling and you remember these lines and not get flustered?
Yeah.
And it's like he said it's like the joke, how do you eat a whale? One bite at a time. So basically what his trick is he just takes one scene at a time, man. And he reads it and he thinks about the other characters and the relationships and what they would say to each other, and he just kind of puts the pieces together. And man, you call actors to the set and count it down. Man, he's on. He's a pro. He's a pro. His comedic timing is fantastic, and he was really excited to do this movie because it's basically his first kind of like feature as like the lead.
Yeah.
And he was really super excited to do it, and he totally delivers. So I'm super excited for people to see him.
Did you stay directly in Detroit, or did you actually go all the way to Austin?
No, we stayed in the Detroit metro area. We for the Austin scenes, we just dressed up some of the locations to make it feel like it was Austin.
Right.
And then we have some footage from Austin that we've put in the film. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get down to Austin, and that was kind of a bummer because we were hoping we could take a road trip and shoot some film. But
That'd be cool. But I'm sure it would. I was sure it would add more to the budget.
Yeah, time. I was just gonna say, man, time and money. Yeah, time and money.
Can you disclose what your budget was on it, or do you prefer not to say it?
Well, I probably won't tell you exactly what it is, but I will say this: it's what they say in the industry, which I'm just learning, by the way. They call it ultra indie.
Ultra indie,
and that's usually ultra indie is under 500,000.
Okay. Well,
so like that to you and me, that's a lot of dough.
That's a lot of
right?
money.
Like I mean, like it's unfathomable dough. So I'll just put that out there to tell you that like I can't imagine shooting a $500,000 movie.
Right.
So ours was considerably lower than that, but it does tell you a lot about Hollywood when they say 500,000 is an ultra indie film, right?
I mean,
because
$500,000. That's what some of these actors are getting paid. You know, it's it's crazy. So when you get some of these A-listers,
listen, man. Larry was gracious with his time, and he didn't demand he was comfortable working in a range that it was something that I could make happen. So that was so nice of him. So yeah, it was great.
When in December are you doing the premiere?
You know what? We're still kind of TBD, but I'm obviously before Christmas and New Year's, probably like I'm hoping maybe like that first week.
I
Um,
might see what I could do to push this back to get it promoted before it
dude,
drops.
that would be
No,
rad.
we'll talk.
And
We'll
if
talk
you,
about it later. And yeah, if we I'm sure
yeah,
we can make something happen.
hey man, if you drive out and visit your partner, drive around then. I'll
Well,
get you.
well,
I'll hook you
well,
up.
that's what I'm saying. We'll talk about it, and if we can do it and promote it and drop it, then we'll make sure
Yeah,
we'll be out there for the premiere. We'll talk about it.
that'd be that'd be sweet. Right on. Yeah, we're gonna do it in a suburb here and rent out a big theater, probably like a 200 seater, and just invite everybody and have like a pre-party and then a post-party and just have a really good time.
So is this once the premiere is done? Is this going like direct to video, or are you trying? Are you trying? I don't know much honestly about
Yeah.
movies, so I don't know if you're able to get it into theaters or whatnot.
Hey man, I'm learning too. So this will definitely not be a theatrical run. Um, what'll happen is a couple things. First is I will be submitting it to a bunch of film festivals,
Mhm.
see if I can get in there in the new year, right? And then there's a couple folks I know that can help you uh, sell it or license it to one of the streaming companies.
Gotcha.
Because there's a ton of them now, right? And they all have kind of different models. But I'm hoping that if everything goes well, I can get on a streamer sometime next year.
How long is the movie?
It's coming in right now an hour 27.
Not bad.
So and I was really pleased to get there because I wasn't sure I was going to get there. But they tell you that like an indie film, you definitely want to try to hit the 90-minute mark.
Mhm.
And I'm almost exactly there, so I'm pretty
Maybe
pretty
maybe
pleased about
throw in
that.
some extra credits, some bloopers or something.
I was thinking about that because there was a couple funny moments. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna see if we can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Has this experience made you want to start doing more movies after this?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like music. It's very addictive.
So maybe
Um,
the
it,
next one, it'll be maybe more of a feature film.
I would love to. I mean, I had a couple creative partners involved that helped me co-direct it. Dudes that I've known for like 20 years here in the industry, and I talk to them every day, and they're like, "When are we going to do another one?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well,
See how this one
so
goes, and
see how this one goes. See if I can get our investors' money back,
yeah.
and then we'll see if we can do." I have during COVID, I wrote 4 scripts, so four screenplays in 2.5 years,
Mm,
and man, it took every second of those 2.5 years to do that. But so I have some in the hopper that if this one does okay, then maybe we'll do another one.
yeah.
That would be rad.
That would be
I'd love
cool.
to.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah,
Just keep plugging away at it, and it'll happen definitely. But
I hope so, man. I mean, it's just like
one thing at a time. It's the way it's gotta go.
yeah. Yeah, I don't want to bite off any more than I can chew right now. I got to finish this Joker first, and then we'll move on to the next one. But I would definitely like to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna look up this. I'm gonna look up. I gotta ask if you've heard of this director. I pitched a movie.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
pitched a movie to him once. Of course, this was years
Oh, I love
ago.
it.
This was years ago, and he was like, "You know what, man?" He's like, "That sounds really cool, but I don't have time for it." And I'm gonna tell you, it's Brian something, but I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah. Please do. Yeah. I mean, it's. I would encourage you to go for it again.
Yeah, well, it was something that really meant a lot to me. So I don't know. Maybe I'll pitch it to you. We'll see.
Yeah, man.
Let's
I
see.
love. I love writing. Yeah.
Brian Baugh.
Yeah. I don't know him.
Brian
I thought you were
Baugh.
gonna say. Yeah, but just because I know him doesn't mean anything because I'm just starting to get it. I mean, I have my favorite directors, but I don't have a huge wide breadth and knowledge of everybody.
Yeah, he's not like that big of one, but he directed the movie called To Save a Life back in 2009, and it had
Nice.
Randy Wayne in it and a couple different people, but it was a great movie,
Cool.
but it was pretty, yeah, man. I mean, it was cool. I hit him up on an email, and then we hopped on a phone call, and so
Yeah.
that's the same. I've tried to be honest with you, like I've tried to, I did
Hmm.
the short stories, and I was like,
Hmm.
man, like. I just like fucking having fun, you know?
being creative and yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And it
exactly
was
how I
it was a
felt about
music
it,
one too, so that was kind of like that's the same.
dude.
We'll see one
Yeah,
day.
yeah. One day, dude. Just yeah, yeah. Make it happen. Like, yeah, I have this one's a movie, obviously about music, and then the other one I wrote about is about music, just because they tell you
Mm,
write what you know, right?
yeah.
And then as I was getting into script writing, I was doing a lot of research, like what genre does the best
Right.
in first time directors and writers, and I was shocked uh, to know that it was horror movies, because horror movies apparently kids love them, young adults
Mm,
love them, and they typically don't have big stars. So they always say, if you're an indie filmmaker and you want to make a splash with your first film, and make it and try to, and with the most opportunity to recoup your money, do a horror film. So then I wrote a horror film, and then I was like, okay, so, and I don't even like horror films.
they're so
I was just like,
predictable. They're so predictable. Every single one is like, do not
they're all the
walk
same.
into this. Like it's the same thing. It's like, come on, really? So
Yeah, it's always the same stuff. And then I did some more research. I'm like, okay, I did that one. All right, what else? What other film and genre could I write where I might have an opportunity to sell it?
yeah.
And of course, you're probably thinking holiday. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to write a holiday script, but I can't make it cheesy, and I can't make it as predictable as all the rest of them. So instead, I wrote one. It centers more around New
Okay.
Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So I tried to change it up a little bit, but
My
um,
favorite holiday movie is Chevy Chase National Lampoons
oh,
Christmas.
it's a classic
It's a classic.
every year.
Yeah.
I watch that every year, man, and no question.
Funny thing about Chevy Chase is actually I'm next week I'm going to Connecticut and I'm gonna be on a podcast, on a live podcast, and this guy Ian Bick, and he just had Chevy Chase on his podcast. And
No kidding.
so he got me in contact, and so I sent Chevy Chase an email. I'm gonna hopefully we can get him on. But
Hope you
that's
hear
my
from 'em.
that's my favorite holiday movie. It was I mean, but Chevy Chase,
Oh man.
he's 80, he's like 81 or 82. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. He's not a young dude anymore. I have a set of the Wally World cups that he uses in
mhm.
that one
Yeah,
to dip into the punch, and
yeah,
oh, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. Yeah,
yeah.
I got a set. I bring that out every Christmas.
So
Yeah,
so
that's a great
so
one.
you did a horror one, you wrote it, and then you wrote a holiday one.
Yep. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I think this is well rounded. Like, so like if I can do this first film, maybe get a little attention, maybe, I don't know. And then I have some others in my pocket,
Yeah,
and I can bring those out. I was talking with my creative partners last week, and I think we're going to try to do the holiday one.
yeah.
But it's it doesn't have a ton of locations, doesn't have a ton of characters, and when you're shooting these kinds of films, you definitely want to try to keep your roster down, because
Right.
that's where, as you know, that stuff gets
It's your
expensive,
biggest
man.
budget right there is the actors.
Oh, it's crazy.
What
Yeah, it's crazy.
what's the camera quality like? Because you on this, like, you have some indies that are really good, and then you have some indie films that are horrible.
You're 100% right.
They look like you filmed
Well,
it with a cell phone,
mhm. Yeah, I had a great cinematographer, um, young guy, Detroit guy, who um, shot a lot of music videos. He shoots on the Red camera, and that's kind of like uh, it's kind of like, I would say, the indie filmmakers slash, like, close to almost pro
Right.
rig for camera guys and digital camera, and then we rented a bunch of really fancy Zeus lenses, and those together really made things kind of like
Mm.
pop, and uh, his name is Brandon Keller, and he's got kind of this style where he like really deep saturated colors
Mm.
and more of a shorter uh, uh, depth. So like if you watch some movies and you got a camera placed in front of several people, but they're staggered,
Yeah.
um, it'll capture all of them in focus, which is more of like a deep focus thing. Brandon kind of does more of the traditional way where it's a shorter depth of field, and like even people behind each other, like the person who's talking is in focus, and then it switches to the person behind him talking. So it's more of a traditional Hollywood kind of cinematography kind of philosophy, and yeah, he's just really good at it.
Nice.
So and it looks good, man. I'm pretty excited. Like I'll tell you, like, so you've made shorts and stuff, but like I haven't. And when I was in college studying film, it was only like video, right? So it was not film or a feature or indie or anything. So this is all new to me, but man, it's like making an album. It's
Yeah.
like my whole life I've been making albums, multi-tracking and uh, dubs and fixes and EQs and effects, and then it goes from mix to final mix, then to mastering, where even more color is laid on it. And filmmaking's I'm telling you, it's exactly the same. And so for my friends and stuff, like, how did you know how to do this? I'm like, it's just like making an album.
Yeah.
It's different tools, same concept. And so that helped a lot when I started thinking about it that way.
How big was your crew? Because like I know for us, like doing the shorts, I mean it was still like
Yeah.
7, 8 people, and that was just to do a short. So I can only imagine how big was
Oh,
yours.
yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, we had 24
Jeez.
um, people on set. It was like cinematographer. Then he had the second assistant camera. And then we had me, director. Then I had a first assistant director. And then I had 2 guys doing lights and 3 guys doing grip.
Mhm.
And then makeup, wardrobe, prop master. Just like, I couldn't believe it, man. I seriously, the first day I was on set, I was like, "Holy shit! Am I paying all these people? Like, this isn't like, how am I going to pay all these
You
dudes?"
just see your dollars just burning. So
Oh yeah, man. Like the pressure was on. That's all I'll
I
say.
bet.
It's like when you got 22 people on your crew, and that at any given day you've got 3 or 4 actors. Pretty soon you got like a small army. You got
Mm.
like 40, 50 people on set. It was crazy, man. It was so
You'd be like,
insane.
"Listen, everybody, we're not catering lunch. We're eating ramen noodles."
Oh, I wanted to do that. It's
Yeah.
so funny you said that. So a week before the shoot, I was talking to my first assistant director, and he was asking me about lunches. And I'm like, nah, these guys can go out every day. I'll give them time to go out that. And he's like, Jeff, I just want you to know that like that can't happen. He's like, it for these people that you're hiring, the caliber that they are, and they, local folks, high caliber in what they do, is like you have to have it catered. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And I started seeing dollar signs. I'm like,
Mm,
how am I going to afford to cater? So I asked, I'm like, I can't hire a caterer to make this food
mm,
or whatever. So I have a neighbor who is just the most, she's the best cook. She makes the best desserts, and she's a taskmaster. So out of the blue, she was over with her husband, and my wife and I, we were just visiting, and I just for kicks, I was just joking. I was like, "Do you want to cater the movie?"
mm.
And she's like, "Yep, I'll do it." I was like, what?
There you go.
And yeah, so every day she showed up and picked up the food, dropped it off, and then she made little special little chocolate chip cookies for the crew and the cast. Man, it was the
That
best, dude. But
that's
yeah,
awesome. It seems like from
yeah,
everything you've been saying, like everything that happened, everything that's came together was just like aligned with like the universe.
yep.
Everything.
And I was very conscious of it, and I was very thankful. And I remember telling my wife during the shoot, I'm like, I am the luckiest guy in the world. Like, it's truly like just the luckiest guy. I had people, like I mentioned at the front of the podcast, I had people donate to the Indiegogo. These are people in my neighborhood,
Mhm.
my family, um, people doing that for me, and then working for free, and then pulling strings for locations. Like one of my old rock and roll dudes from Detroit, he owns a music club here in the suburbs and a restaurant right across the street. And I was like, dude, man, I have a bunch of stage and bar scenes. Like, can I rent out your space? And he's got it's like a 300 person room. It's a nice sized room. And he's like, dude, you can shoot in there for free for as
Mm.
long as you want. I'm like, dude,
Wow.
you are the man. Because that alone could have blown my budget.
Mhm.
Renting a 300 room concert
And
place bar in Detroit.
what did you do for extras?
Oh, well, that's again, man, like just thanking my lucky stars. There's a talent agency in Detroit, and there's a couple motion picture schools, and one of my producers was like, just tell me how many people you'll need, the date, what time they got to show up, and I'll take care of it.
Right.
And so I wrote it all up. I gave it to him, and he went to the schools and to the casting. And when all said and done, I had like 50 extras on set.
Wow.
It was incredible, man. They just showed up. They worked for pizza, and
Hey.
their name and a credit. It's
Did you
awesome.
fill 300 people? Did you fill the
Did
whole room?
I Man, I wish we would have, but no. No, we did the old Hollywood trick where you push them all in the front
And
of the
then just
stage.
edit it out?
Yeah, make them jump around and then put on different clothes for the next scene.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what's up.
But yeah, so yeah, man. That's the story, man. I'm super super geeked, and it's a for me, like at this age, and then like that happening for me, and like I just totally grateful. Like I said, totally grateful and just happy that I was able to swing it, make it happen.
Right. Do you already have a trailer? Have you made a trailer yet? Or are you gonna
No trailer yet.
no?
Yeah, we are in the fourth version of the edit. We have the whole movie assembled. Now we're making small tweaks. Once that's done, then we'll cut the trailer,
Mm,
and then like kind of like making an album. It's got to go and get final sound mix,
yeah.
and then it's got to get final color. Color's like the mastering process, right? In making an album. And then once that's done, yeah, we'll be ready to roll, man. I'm super geeked. It's pretty much on schedule of where I was hoping to be. I didn't want this to kind of linger for like a year. I
Right.
wanted to really make a go for it. So yeah, from the first day we shot to the final edit, and when we get it out, it'll probably be like 6 months on
Right.
the dot.
Yep.
Yep. So,
If you get it, if you get some, let me know, and do we maybe put something in the intro? Of course,
dude, I'd
we're
love to.
the people who are listening to this, it's already gonna be out. So
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, look forward. You go to the website. It's bandontherunmovie.com. And yeah, I mean, people ask me about Band on the Run. I'm like, yes, it is a Paul McCartney album.
Mhm.
Yes, it is a Paul McCartney song. But that's what's so great about the title. It hasn't been copyrighted.
Really,
So
it's never been copyrighted.
no, the phrase has never been copyrighted. It is officially it's a copyrighted composition,
Okay.
a piece of music. So it doesn't. So I'm not in any conflict with the album, which
Right.
is incredible.
Yeah.
Um, and just kind of fit for the theme of the movie. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it.
Right.
And if Paul McCartney sues me, then I can say that Paul McCartney sued me.
There's your Hollywood debut right there. No.
Yeah, right. I mean, he doesn't need my money, and
Right.
I wouldn't have the money to pay him.
Right.
So I would just go, you know what, Paul, you're right. I stole your name from your album. I'm going to name it something else.
I
No,
think
no problem.
yeah, nah, it's let the universe work out what it's gonna do, you know?
Yeah, I'd love to get his attention,
Hey,
but I
yeah,
mean,
tell
he's
everyone
one
go
of my
on
heroes.
social media and start tagging him. I mean, shoot,
Yeah,
he's probably too old for social media, so
yeah. Somebody's telling him now, Paul. Here's how you log into
yeah,
Facebook. I mean, that dude's like 80. He's 82 now, right, or something
he's
like
in his
that.
80s, definitely.
I mean, he's incredible though, man. He's one of my heroes. Yeah.
So, what was your favorite part of out of the whole entire movie, out of the whole experience, whether it's shooting it, directing, whatever? What was your favorite part? Honestly.
I think it was hmm. So I filmed at this is kind of sappy. Warning to the listeners,
Mhm.
but I was my dad's still alive and he's 84. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, could I shoot at the house um that I grew up in because he still lives in it? And he was like, yes, you can shoot at the house. So I spent a day at my house that I grew up in, and I hadn't spent that much time in that house in probably 40 years.
Mm.
No, no, I mean, that might be like 35 years. And so that was an interesting experience, but that wasn't the most thing that stood out. The experience that after my dad got home and he saw the crew and stuff, he uh, and I was getting a little emotional with him, uh, and he said he was proud of me. That was pretty great.
That's
Never heard it from him before, so that was
that's what may be sappy to one person is it- everyone's. I got a similar thing. I'll tell you the truth. I didn't meet my dad until I was 30, and I'm 34, and I didn't meet him until I
yeah.
was 33.
Wow,
And
that's heavy.
yeah, and he didn't know anything about me or anything, but I remember I was at his house and I was getting ready to leave, and he looks over and he just says, "I'm proud of you and I love you." And I was like, I had no clue how to take that. I'd be honest,
Dude, if
I
you hadn't
broke
met me,
down into tears because I was just like, "What the fuck just
dude,
happened?"
yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah,
That's heavy, man.
you don't know, I haven't met you my whole entire life, but the fact that you're just saying that because it's like my whole life, I always wanted to hear that from.
Of
I
course,
want
yeah. Every
you want to hear that,
kid wants that from
yeah,
your parent. Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and it was just, man, I tell you, so I resonate with that. So
Yeah, man, it was heavy. I mean, after all those years of playing in bands, he would come see me, blah blah blah, this and that, and he always had a smile on his face. He loved coming to see my bands play at these shitty bars here in the Detroit metro area, and I always felt like, oh, my dad proud of me, but he's never actually said it. And
mm,
so when he finally did, I was like, fuck,
there you go.
that's some heavy stuff, man. Yeah, so I get it, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
So other than the website, where can anybody else find you? Any Facebook, Instagram, anything, or is it just the website?
We got the website, bandontheRunmovie.com, and then also same Instagram page. So you can go there, follow it, and I'll follow you back. And
Yeah, we're gonna
yeah, just working hard.
we'll put the description, links in the description when it drops.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so
So you can,
everybody go follow Jeff, follow Band on the Run, go check it out. I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely excited for this.
cool. Thank you.
Thank you, man, for coming on. Thank you for spent this hour together, and thank you everybody for listening. As always, like, follow, comment, share, and go follow Jeff and Band on the Run. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.